Good morning, everybody. This is Diggs. It's another beautiful day out here in the Pacific Northwest. We got tons of rain, but that's okay. I hope you guys had a really good time watching the second anniversary and kind of looking at all of the news that's coming out. I decided to take the time to do a little bit of a breakdown video. We're going to go ahead and go over all of the 3 new units that are coming out with Final Fantasy VI. We're going to be talking about Terra, we're going to be talking about Locke, and we're going to be talking about, of course, Celes. They're all going to be incredible. Let's go ahead and dig in. Now, of course, we are going to start with the most important unit, at least the unit that I think is the most important, and that's going to be Terra. Now, I was a little bit surprised, and I did not know that her name was Tina on the JP side. So I was really confused when they announced Tina from Final Fantasy VI, and then I was like, oh, she called Tina over there, isn't she? So we're gonna talk about Terra / Tina, get that little bit of interesting trivia out there for you. Her main job is going to kind of be magic swordsman. She's basically going to be kind of a Dario-esque brawler character is how I would kind of describe her. She's going to have access to sub paladin. She's going to have access to sub blade soul. It was very kind of important for the developers to let us know that she'll also have immortal spirit in her kit. So she's really going to be getting up close and personal. She's going to be taking some hits for the team. She's going to be dealing lots of damage. She's just going to be one of those brawler units that's going to be difficult to deal with. Now, in terms of her abilities, her limit break is going to be called Riot Sword. It's going to raise spirit penetration for 3 turns and deal large damage based on the caster's magic stat. What I like about it the most is it has really high range and it's an AoE, so it's going to be able to hit multiple characters. It's going to raise her spirit penetration. It's just going to be good overall, and you know she's going to have access to pull this off a little bit more often than other units because she's most likely going to start with a higher base AP pool than other units. In the lower left, we do have her classic ability, Meltdown. Pretty standard, going to be just a large fire damage based attack with 100% hit rate. In the upper right, Firaga Sword, going to give some really good Ice Eater, but also enable Disable. So she's not only going to be able to have access to 100% hit attack, she's going to have Immortal Spirit. She's also going to be able to disable her opponents and kind of have Ice Eater to give her that edge against ice units. And then finally in the lower right, she has Slash Attack up for allies and Magic up for self. Pretty powerful buff, especially considering you'll probably be running her with other slash-based units. What's interesting to consider though, you know, when we're thinking overall and considering her as a unit, we have to consider both the perspective of the global side and the JP meta as it currently is, particularly with Fire right now on the JP meta. They have access to Celes, who is the new fire element warrior of the crystal, who is a very powerful fire-based archer unit. And they also have access to Minwoo, who, while not perfect, is also going to be kind of coming out and being relevant. Now, we did just see the big kind of tournament that they had on the JP side for the 2nd year anniversary. Celes did win that. So Fire is in an incredibly powerful position right now on the JP side, and it's just going to continue to get more powerful. One thing to consider though, and this was kind of a comment that was left in my comment section in the original part of this video, is that we do have Celes coming out who's going to be a water tank, but also to consider Global has access to Lara Croft, which is not available on the JP side. And this could be a situation where Lara Croft kind of helps balance the meta in the future, particularly with a powerful Celes coming around. It could be possible that we see fire and water kind of going at each other as kind of a counterbalance and keeping one and the other in check. It's almost like you can see the meta a few months from now, and while fire may be really dominant, right, you're going to be in this place where almost any composition is going to be viable. It's just going to be really incredible, I think. Going on though and talking about some of the other units, let's talk about Locke, because Locke is unique in that he's going to be a unit that is given to every single person. So being able to get a free UR unit is always good. He's going to be light-based element, which is really important. You know, we have a lot of light-based units, and we have a lot of light-based units that have been given for free. Particularly, we have Celes that was given for free. Thancred as well, they announced in the Final Fantasy XIV collaboration, is going to be given for free as well. So for a lot of new players out there, Light Slash is actually going to be a very viable composition. As for the global players, we do have to consider as well that we have access to Elena, which they don't have yet on the JP side. And we are going to get the Light Element Warrior, the Crystal, that is just going to get a little bit more powerful every time. They announced his limit break just recently. His name is Lucio, and it's going to be interesting to see how he kind of pairs with all of our other light slashing units. Now, Locke's main job is going to be Treasure Hunter. He's basically going to be a type of thief for those of you who haven't played Final Fantasy VI. His primary weapon is going to be Dagger. That does mean he's going to be attack-based. I saw some confusion in the initial live stream with people saying that he was going to be magic-based. He is going to be attack-based. His sub-jobs will be Pugilist and Nightblade, and what's really important here is that they did confirm that he will have Drain Rush from the Nightblade sub-job abilities. So he will be able to have that triple hit PvE chaining capability in him. So he's going to be very powerful for your Light Slash composition. A lot of times Light Slash really struggles because there's not enough units. Well, I mean, we have Elena now, but there hasn't been enough units in the past really to pull off multi-hit Light Slash compositions. And now that we have Elena on top of potentially Locke coming out, he's going to be very powerful in terms of kind of joining, I would almost say, a free-to-play Light Slash team, which can help a lot of players when trying to access PvE content. Now, he is, of course, going to be an evasion slashing unit, so it's important to not discount the fact that he is going to be evasion based. I think pairing really well with Elena, I think kind of the idea of Rob's VC potentially going really well with him. I just think he's going to fit into the light unit world very well. His limit break, Sky Mirage Dive, is going to give slash resistance down and lower counter proc chance. It's also going to deal large damage. Again, with these light slash units, we don't have a lot of units that can decrease stats or decrease the PvE elements. So being able to lower slash resistance down is going to be very important. When we get to his abilities here, you'll see in the bottom left, he does have access to Dispel Dagger, which is actually a 3-range move, and it removes all buffs, and then it deals large damage. So if you're going up against anything that has barriers, anything that's defensive in nature, he's going to be able to just to shred it. In his top right ability, he does have AP Steal, which is AoE, and while it may not be worded as AP Steal directly, it's going to deal medium damage to targets in range, drain their AP or decrease their AP, and increase his own AP. So it's possible there's like an AP generation cap on this. I don't think it's technically going to be drain AP. It'll probably like cap out at like plus 20 AP for him, but I really doubt it's going to be kind of dependent on the amount of targets that are hit with it. His lower right ability is kind of translated as Adventurer's Wisdom. It gives single unit hit resistance up, and then it gives counter ability down resistance. So this is of course going to be a unique effect in the game that we've never seen before. Counter ability down resistance is going to basically make it so that he can buff your units around you to not seal their counters. So if you're running with like a reflex composition, for example, you're going to be able to use counter ability down resistance and kind of make it so that you can still do reflex, you can still do kind of all of these other counter abilities and not have to worry about getting them sealed by your opponent. Overall, do I think Locke's going to be incredibly powerful? That's kind of the question. I don't think he's going to be game breaking. I don't think he's going to be extremely powerful, but I think he's going to bring with him the capability to increase your PvE capability, both through Drain Rush and his capability to lower slash resistance. It'll also be interesting to see, you know, potentially having access to Pugilist sub and maybe hopefully a Light Fist user coming out, but also pairing Locke with like Lucio or Summer Kilfei, who will be able to lower light resistance of the opponent. Pair that with his slash resistance down, lower counter proc chance from his limit break. He's just going to be a very good, like he's going to replace a lot of the other light units in PvE content when you are running a light element slash composition. Now we're going to talk about arguably the most important unit to be announced in the 2-year anniversary, and that is going to be Celes. Now, Celes is arguably the most important, but also the unit that most people probably have been looking forward to. Her main job is going to be Imperial Rune Knight. Sub job is going to be Spellblade and Red Mage, with her primary stat being Magic. And she's designed to be a magic tank. And part of the reason she's going to be a magic tank is that's kind of the lore that she's had from Final Fantasy VI. And we'll get into that here a little bit once we talk about her kit. Her limit break, Spinning Edge, is going to raise all attack type resistances for herself, and it's going to deal large damage to the opponent. Taking a look at her abilities, the lower left ability, Rune Break, is going to give Spirit minus for 3 turns. Then it's going to deal large damage. The upper right ability, though, is really where we start getting into some specific, unique mechanics. And if you've ever played Final Fantasy VI, if you played the original Brave Exvius, if you played any game where Celes is featured, this is going to be her traditional ability, the Runic Blade, or as it was called in Final Fantasy VI, just Rune, right? Now, Runic Blade, for those that are familiar with it, essentially nullifies one magic-based or reflectable-based magic that is cast on you. This is very powerful. It also gives Shell on her, and it also absorbs the damage as AP. Now, you're probably wondering, okay, this is pretty good, but I never really used Carbuncle's Reflect, or I never used Reflect from, I think Minwu actually gets it. Or it's one of those, it's one of the units. No, it's not Minwu, it's Naya. Naya gets Reflect, I'm pretty sure. But like, you never really use Reflect anyway. So is it really that powerful? And what's powerful about this is that if an AoE magic hits her, so for example, if you have Runic Blade up on Celes and you have 3 units close together, Black Rose Helena comes forward and uses like Darkra on your team to hit all of your opponents or all of your units. Because Celes is in that AoE effect of the magic spell, she's going to absorb the entire magic spell. So even if your allies were in position to get hit, they are not going to get hit because Runic Blade is going to absorb the AoE of this attack. So this is going to be very powerful, and this is going to be very unique. And I think this will really kind of crush kind of AoE magic meta in a way. And I mean, this is going to be big, right? This is going to be huge. Now, the lower right ability, while having some difficulty translating it, it basically just gives an increased chance of being targeted and raises own single target resistance. So she will have a way to kind of make units target her. Overall, what I think is Celes is going to be absolutely incredible. She's going to be incredibly powerful until a couple months from now when we get announced that Orlando EX is coming. I think that is the natural progression, right, of introducing and kind of creating this really powerful water tank. A couple other things that I'm thinking about in regards to Celes, I'm thinking about the power level of Summer Elsorel being paired with Celes. I think that could be a very disgusting team. I'm of course also thinking about Lara Croft. I'm thinking about Setia kind of being in the meta and how, you know, Celes is potentially going to be able to counter Setia while also countering AoE magic users is going to be very interesting, because you also have a wind tank. You have Joom that had come out, who is a very powerful tank as well. So it's almost like we're seeing the primary tank shifting to water and wind elements. So it's very cool to consider what the possibilities are going to be. Anyway, everybody, thank you so much for watching. If you do want to support me, you can use my affiliate link at dig.gs/coins, or you can go to dig.gs/offer. This is a new style of video. I don't usually edit my videos. Whoa, okay. I don't usually edit my videos. Y'all just saw my camera go everywhere. But I am trying a new style. Please let me know down in the comment section below if you enjoy it, if it's something you like, if you want me to do these types of videos more often. They do take a little bit more work, but I gotta be honest, I'm kind of having a little bit more fun with them. So talk to you guys all later, and see you next time.